broadcast.
All right, here we are, the voice of electronic music, episode number 47 with Chris Archey.
How's it going?
Good, man. Of Olympus Events. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's a good Tuesday. The weather's pretty nice outside.
Yep.
How you doing?
Good, man. You're right. It could be a little bit. It's been kind of cold lately. I feel like my house is colder than it is outside.
Sometimes it does feel like that, and also when I leave a window open too, and I forget, and I'm like, why is it so cold in here? And I go over and I'm like, damn, I left the window open again.
Right. I mean, it doesn't help that I live in the sunset, so it's like I get that like extra crisp, fresh, cold air.
You got that ocean breeze coming by you a little bit.
Yeah. And unless you have some new like fucking tech loft or some shit, those houses are a little old and tend to be a little breezy.
Yeah.
They
don't stay very insulated.
No, yeah. And then of course my roommates will like leave the door open or something. I'm like, God damn it. we gotta hoard this heat. It's expensive.
Yeah, I'm like thinking about it. We never even turn the heat. I mean, we rarely turn the heater on in my house. I don't know why. I mean, I'm like usually not home though, but I come home and it's freezing and I'm like, damn, I wish the heater was on earlier.
Right. That's one of my embellishments. I give zero fucks because if I'm cold, I'm worthless. I can't do anything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'll just sit in my chair and I'll just shiver for hours.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if there's one thing I'm going to spend my money on and fucking throw caution to the wind, bitch, I know avocado's extra or guacamole's extra.
See, that's why I end up staying in bed. Like I'll wake up and if my room's cold, like I don't want to get out. I'm like, nope, exactly. I'm not leaving this. Like this is too comfortable.
Exactly. So. I got a clapper for Christmas.
A clapper? Oh, yeah, the light? Oh, yeah. Man.
And I was super stoked. And I came home and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to plug my little space heater into it and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to clap and I'm going to give it 10 minutes and then I'm going to get out of bed. Mm-hmm. And I plugged it in and I did the thing and 30 seconds and it just shuts off and it fucking burned the thing out.
Already?
Yeah, and then I look at the back, it's like do not use for personal heaters. And I was like, God damn it, I fucked that up.
Well, got to get a new one.
Right? Yeah. It was a white elephant gift, so it was under $20.
Those are great.
Yeah. Great. So what's up, man? How you been? What have you been up to?
Dude, I've been up to a lot. We've as Olympus and with my partner Vial, we just expanded our bass music shows to San Jose. So we're now doing some Fridays at Elevate San Jose. Nice. We have a Wobbleland pre-party coming up on this Friday.
Nice.
And then I also started doing house. Well, it's supposed to be house and techno event, but right now we just have house acts booked. But it's called Planet Disco. It's at Valencia Room. The first date is on the 25th of January this month.
Nice.
I've got Kendall, Shadows, 219 Boys, and then everyone from Ghost Bag is coming through too. So that'll be the start of that thing. And I've mainly came from dubstep stuff, so this is kind of like the new my new challenge, although this is where my heart's been, so it doesn't feel like I don't know what I'm doing. At least I have the experience now as a promoter doing the 18 plus stuff, and I think I can transfer that over pretty well to the 21 plus. So it's pretty much just my plate is continuously doing the sequence shows that I'm doing every Thursday at DNA. Expanded the brand out to San Jose, so we gotta get more of a community going out there, and then doing new house stuff. Oh, and this is another big one too. As of November, I'm now the talent buyer for DNA Lounge. So that's another big. Can't even believe I spaced on that. That's like probably the biggest thing on my plate right now. Yeah. Just because they are majority a live music venue. Although of course there is a lot of DJ parties that go on there as well as the ones that I throw. But I think that venue is more geared towards live music, a lot of like indie pop, punk, metal, things like that. So I'm actually taking the time to really dig into those artists and trying to understand, because I really don't have a huge background in it. So I kind of have to figure out who, what the different sounds are, who's going to fit well with who, who's playing what size rooms, because I got to figure out what to offer people. I got to figure out who's going to play in the main room, who's going to play in above, who's already, who's already playing for Golden Voice or AEG, or who's already playing for Live Nation. We're probably not going to get those bookings. So there's a lot of intricacy that goes on with the live shows that I'm trying that I'm trying to figure out operates a little bit different than the DJ world.
Totally.
So
yeah, that's why I've always liked DNA lounges. It's kind of a variety. It's a real variety. You know what I mean? Like you can catch anything from like industrial fucking gothic techno to like some of these like wild like LGBT like events and stuff, and then dubstep and electro. Like I went to a Monster Cat event there one time, which was wild. So it's cool. It's a really it's a good like variety blend of things, which not a lot of places in the city do all that much. A lot of times it tends to be kind of people have their few things that they do, and that's kind of their bread and butter.
Yeah, and that's I think like that is pretty much how every place operates. You know exactly what club you're going to and what you're going to get. And at DNA, I feel like you go there. I mean, of course, there might be a certain night where you know exactly who's playing, but it depending on every night of the week, it could be something different on a Friday, different on a Saturday. You're not going to get the exact same thing all the time, which I think brings that crowd of people that don't want exactly the same thing. But we can also bring in a lot of new people. There's a lot of opportunity to bring in new people that don't know about the venue just because of how much variety there is with the brands that are going on. You can bring in someone that if you're doing like a hip hop event, most people don't know DNA, as a hip hop venue. But if you bring in, some hip hop acts, or you even just have a hip hop party there, and a bunch of people come in and they go, oh wow, I didn't even know like this was, a spot that I'd be into, and then they go there, they have a good time, and they want to come back, or
absolutely,
that's how it goes.
Fucking awesome. So I guess we should give people a little bit of a backstory on. So you started Olympus Events. And then how did you get to where you are now, being working with DNA? And that sort of thing?
Man, so so I started Olympus Events in July of 2017. I threw my first party called Rhythm Hours at a very small venue that DNA used to own called Code Word, and that was just that was my first show ever. I started doing one event per month in July of 2017. It was called Rhythm Hours, and it was like underground dubstep in the small room at DNA after I moved up from Code Word to the small room at DNA. And then after, I want to say about 8 months of doing the small room and selling it out multiple times, I had said, hey, I want to start using the main room, which goes from a 250 cap to an 800 cap. It's a large difference. So I made that leap after about 8 months. And it was kind of a rough road at first, and then things started picking up. Just like I was still doing the one event per month. Things started picking up. We started building more of a crowd for the main room. So I started getting over 500-600 attendance, and then a miracle happened, or at least a miracle in my eyes. Vital had contacted me to do a stage takeover at their Toxic Summer event in 2018. So for me, I'm like what? This is literally crazy. I've been going to Toxic Summer since it was at DNA Lounge in 2015 as a raver.
Right.
So it was a big opportunity for me. And then from that, I had actually I had reached out to them and said, I had mentioned about bringing back Control or something along those lines, which is the Thursday party they used to do at DNA, just because I felt like Control wasn't going on anymore, and I was the Thursday DNA party at least once a month. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to, set up a partnership and see what we can do together. And, they said, okay, we made some things happen, and we built a new successful brand that we actually launched in November of 2018. That's called Sequence, that we do almost every Thursday at DNA Lounge. And, we had some ups and downs, but majority have been ups. We built a pretty solid brand. I think, we learn a lot together, and that's pretty much like why I've made everything I have now, is I think because of Sequence and the partnership that I built with Vital. I definitely see myself expanding with them. Like, we've gone to San Jose, and I see myself going with them, further places if it makes sense. And yeah, that's kind of how I got everything. If I wasn't successful, with the Rhythm Hours, or if Sequence would have failed, I don't think I would be where I'm at. But I've been able to I guess, generate, help be a part of generating, income and bringing a lot of people to a good party. So
yeah,
everything's kind of worked out.
Yeah. I mean, those up and downs are really just, it's just the way that events go, and I always feel a little sad when I see people like throw like an event or like even a second event or a third event and it doesn't, and they're not catching traction. It's like, dude, sometimes you just gotta keep doing it, and then it'll reach this like critical mass, and then you start getting it's like.
Well, I know for sure, because that's how the game works. It's for longevity. People, you can't expect to. You gotta have money to lose. You can't expect to. You can't expect to start this and be booking talent and actually, throwing a full event, not just saying, hey, let me promote for this club and another show that's going on. Like, if you're gonna throw everything yourself and really go balls to the wall, like, you got to be ready to lose because it's a slow process. I mean, for me, in 2 years is what I feel like it took me to really establish myself. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of losses. There was a lot of having to say, like, is this really what I want to do? But still continuing to do it because I'm like, well, eventually things are going to pick up. But you know what? I'm booking people that I want to book. I'm throwing a party that I want to throw. I get to see all my friends, every month, or at the time what it was and what's now like every week.
Right.
And you just gotta go for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Vital's a great crew. I mean, they've been doing stuff that's basically as long as I've been in, kind of in the scene here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember
since 2010.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think I got started just before that, like 2008, 2009. But I mean, I remember they were throwing their was Give Thanks. Was that Vital?
No, Give Thanks was Midnight. They were doing, so they still do Wobble In.
Okay, yeah. Vital is Wobble In.
Yeah, which is actually coming up too on the 17th and 18th, 17th and 18th of January too.
Nice. But, so I was getting those crossed because I think Give Thanks was it in San Jose?
Yeah, they did it at, they used to do that at the Civic Center. Okay. And then I believe the one that they just did was in Sacramento.
Oh, wow.
At the Cal Expo. I've never been there before, but they moved the brand over there. And there hasn't actually been that many shows going on at San Jose Civic. I mean, they used to be a lot, like almost every month. Mm-hmm. And now it seems like it's just there's a few that go on, mainly done by like Insomniac or with Live Nation, essentially.
Yeah. Crazy. So working at DNA, I mean, I take it you're having to kind of expand your horizons a little bit, right? Like doing more than just dubstep, of course. I
mean, a lot of it, it's really just I don't understand, or I don't understand the whole live music game. I have to figure it out. But I also have a brain and like I have an understanding of what it takes to, like how a show works.
Yeah.
It's just understanding like the different equipment, the backline equipment that goes on with a band, because there's there's a drummer, there's guitarists, there's vocalists, there's different equipment that needs to get used. Mm-hmm. The timing from when doors open to when sound goes on, or not sound, but when an artist goes on, or the changeover between acts, like the loading equipment. There's just it's a whole totally different world besides just booking someone that flies in and you give them an Uber here and they come in and plug in a USB and it's like nothing, and then they go on to the next place.
Right.
Here these live acts are usually, in a van, they're traveling with a group. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know what type of equipment they're using. I got to figure out the different, depending on what type of band they are, they might be using a keyboard, and I got to figure out how to work that, and I got to figure out, who's going to be our sound tech for that night, and who knows how to operate this different equipment, and how the advancing works and all that. So I'm just trying to soak it all in and understand that I don't know much in it, so it's going to take a little bit of time, but not like trying to get down on myself like, oh damn, I don't know how to do that already. Like,
well, it's like jumping into any job, right? I mean, like you're like, oh, I know all these things and I've had successes with these, like I can do that. But then you got to spend a little bit. I mean, even when I started here, like I had never I'd worked at many nightclubs and studios and that sort of thing and live sound and all this stuff, but I had never like operated like a full-blown like nightclub, really. You know what I mean? Like I had, but with other people, you know what I mean? Uh-huh. So then to be like, oh, now it's just you. And it's like, oh, shit, okay, well, the stakes are a little bit higher,
They are. And I think
a great way to learn.
It is.
Learn
That's
so
when I
fucking
learn
fast.
That's when I learn the best is when I'm under pressure.
Yeah.
Because I keep telling myself like, man, I suck at this. I don't know what I'm doing. And then that makes me, although the whole time I knew what I was doing, it's figuring out a different way of doing it. That makes me force myself to like, hey, you need to pick this up. Yeah. Or like, you better look into that twice as hard.
Right.
Or I need to spend more time doing things. And sometimes I'll get not really down on myself, but I'll get to a point where like I'm like, dang, I don't even know what to look up. And then I'll just go, I'm just gonna look through, read some emails real quick, and then start searching things and start just looking up artist names. Like mainly what I've been doing. Like before I came over here, I was at DNA, and I was talking to a lot of agents that are representing people that are playing South by Southwest out in Austin, and I'm trying to get a bunch of those acts over here, and it seems to be going well. But I just lost my train of thought. But South by Southwest.
Yeah, so and Googling terms and stuff, right? Like,
it's more of the people that are playing there. I don't know what they sound like, so that's what it was. I'm trying to understand who's going to fit well, with what other people. So if I have, if I look up two people that are one's metal and one's punk, might not be a show that I want to put together. So I'm trying to understand what the people sound like. Where they're from and where their draw comes from.
Right.
So that's what I've been spending a lot of time doing. Where I've been, looking at. I'll send an offer or I just sent availabilities for like certain acts, and then the next thing I'll go do is look at, okay, who's related to this person, or what other shows have they been playing, and who have they been playing with, at what venues, how big are they? Yeah. Just trying to research everything that goes on. Looking at all the other venues out here in San Francisco, like Bottom of the Hill, Rickshaw, trying to figure out. How they're running things. I'm actually just gonna go stop by there and check out a couple shows, see how they run stuff, see what the different sounds are, see what type of crowds they're drawing, and it's just field research essentially.
Yeah.
And I understand it's gonna take time.
Yeah.
But I think DNA is willing to work with me on that, and when they hired me for the position, like they know I know what I can do when it comes to like promotion and talent buying. It's just understanding the world of live music.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm on, I'm all on board on figuring that out. I mean, if Olympus is not just going to be an electronic company, forever, it's definitely something now. And I could end up having a different entity later.
Right.
That takes on, hip hop and live music. I mean, the sky's the limit. So this is just me kind of getting that, my foot in the door on really understanding this world and trying to help propel a venue, because I eventually plan to own one myself, and my venue, club, whatever it may be, is probably not just going to be DJ based. I would also like to have live performances, as I want to throw a good party, and that's not always just going to be with the DJ. So
yeah, it's crazy, man. I think about that too. I'm like, would I want to own a nightclub? Like I said many years ago, like I want to own a nightclub. But now, like working at one and like knowing how much goes into it, it's like it's very easy to just show up and be like, oh my God, this is amazing, and the lights and the sound and all this stuff. But then,
boy, do you know what it took to get this here? Yeah.
I mean, because even here, like I do the lights and the sound, but like I'm fixing random shit. Like I'm working on putting up some awnings on the outside of the building so that we can for like rain and stuff.
You're a handyman too.
Yeah. Well, that was arguably my first thing I was good at. I've been kind of doing that since I was like 12, like taking shit apart and putting it back together and building tree houses and all that. I used to make swords.
Really?
Yeah, I used to make swords. I would I didn't have like a
spinning
kiln.
the wheel.
No. These are very, very basic 12-year-old swords, right? Like I would take these pieces of sheet metal and I'd hammer them on against an anvil until the edge got sharp, and then I was into medieval stuff.
Yeah,
right?
but you took it to a whole nother level. You were actually like.
Yeah, and then I'd wrap some duct tape around it for a handle, and then of course I'd have to test out my sword, so I knew it was good. And so my dad used to get so pissed because he'd come out and he'd see the fucking the green and blue and brown trash cans, and they'd have all these fucking hack marks V's hacked into it because I'm out there testing them out. You know what I mean?
He's like, why are you breaking this? Why you got to destroy our garbage for?
God damn it, son!
I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of just a lot of shit that goes into all of these places, you know, and especially, you know, evolutions of a similar place. Like I know DNA's kind of gone through a lot of evolutions, you know, like 1015, like they just did their whole remodel where they like opened up, like they knocked down a bunch of walls and put these like automated windows.
I haven't even been in there yet, but I heard it's off the hook, and I have not always been. 1015 has just not always had the best experiences with the random people that have been there. I'm like, why every time always like someone's like trying to fight or like, it's just crazy. I'm like, why does this happen here? So I haven't always had the best vibes there.
Yeah.
But I want to check it out just because I've heard what they've done with the room. Just the openness of it is like really dope.
All right.
According to a lot of people. So, I mean, I'd be willing to check that out. Have you been there yet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been there, well, twice. I went and saw Test Pilot after here. We did New Year's Eve here. And then I went right from here to Test Pilot, and
I wish I would have went to that, man.
It was pretty epic.
I heard it was great. Off the hook.
Yeah, it was just like, I mean, I love techno and I love deadmau5's stuff, and so like being able to see both of those in 1015 with like the new additions, like it was just like, it was really nice.
Yeah.
You know, and I was a little disappointed because I got there and it was like, you know, 4:30 or 4:45 in the morning. And I'm getting off work, and I'm like, oh, yeah, all right, I'm going to get a drink. And I'm like, oh, fuck, the bar's not open. So I just, like, kind of, you know, tried not to be awkward and, like, popped around until 6 a.m.
You just got to go hang around.
Exactly, right, yeah. Fortunately, I'm fairly comfortable. Like, I don't have to be in those environments. I don't have to be drinking in those environments to have fun, you know?
Right.
But it does, I just wanted a drink because I just got off work, you know?
Exactly.
And it was like New Year's, you know?
You're not trying to get drunk or nothing. You're just like, hey, I'm trying to
just trying to relax a little bit. Yeah.
I get it. I got my drink right now.
Exactly, right, yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. So, you know, working with like Vital, are you guys when you do something like Sequence and two teams come together to do one thing? How does that work? You know what I mean?
So in our partnership, Vital technically handles the talent buying and the marketing and I mean, Olympus pretty much handles everything else from, you know, how the show is ran, as well as like the street team. So my partner, Vanessa, and I, we both work for Vital, and we run their entire street team of promoters. And I think that's a huge part of why we have success is because we actually have a, you know, pretty decent team of about 50 people. And, you know, it's gone through a lot of time of weeding people in and out, but we've definitely got like a stronger team now. And Vanessa's like a huge reason for that, which is she's my partner. And so we collaborate all the time on who we're going to book and different ideas. And, you know, I'm making suggestions left and right because I always feel like we're not the best. We're not selling out every single show. Like we can do better. So I'm always thinking about different ways of what we can change. And I'm just, you know, we present everything 50-50. Like they might have an idea and they run it by me. And if I'm like, you know, I don't know if that really sounds too great, then, you know, we might not do that. Or if I have a suggestion, which, you know, they can probably contest, I have a lot of crazy ideas. Most of them anyone ends up seeing because it's, you know, right off the dome. But everything's pretty much transparent. Certain people handle what they need to handle, but I think we all have kind of the same responsibility at the end of the day, regardless of what everyone from the outside sees looking in. You know, we're on the inside and like we actually know how everything's ran. So I think everyone plays a different part and has different knowledge. Sometimes, you know, I'm wrong about stuff all the time, like, and I make mistakes all the time, just as much as my partners do.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, we both, they're trustworthy and they listen to me, like when I have an idea, and I'm also very ears open too. Like even though I talk a lot and like I have a lot of suggestions, I'm also all ears because my suggestions is to get out a response of like, yes, you're on the right track, or dog, you're tripping. Like, there's no way we're doing that. Like, I might just have these.
You can't have a hot dog cart in the middle of the dance floor.
They're like, I mean, shoot, I might. That's not too far off. Stuff I might have suggested. So it's good to have a partner that keeps me in check. But also is willing to listen to my crazy ideas, and I think some of them have helped our brand for the better. But ultimately, I'm thankful to have people that I can kind of look up to. Whereas like, you know, Santi and Max, who own Vital, I used to look up to them just as humans, regardless. You know, when I was raving, and back in 2014, I went to my first ever rave, my second ever rave, which was Wobbleland. My friends took me to, and that was probably the start of me deciding I want to pursue, a career in music.
Yeah.
And it's all worked out from there. But I used to look up to these two guys like they were gods. Like I looked, I was like, oh my God, like how did they do this? And that was back in 2014. I was like, this is nuts. Like I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, but I was just like, I don't know how this works. And so I am only where I'm at, or I only had that interest of doing what I do because of the events that they threw that I went to. Every Thursday being Control, and everything that happened at Civic Center or the Midway, whatever it may be. So I'm very thankful to be working with the people that I looked up to, and that gave me the inspiration to even be in the industry, because it's everyone, it's fun and everyone thinks it's like this great thing, but it's also like it's very stressful, and you have to trust people a lot too, and it's a lot about relationships. And I got trust issues just because I'm always looking at people as they're just that people just want clout, or they just want to one up something, or they're only looking out for themselves. And I get that at the end of the day, we all need to look out for ourselves, of course, but I want to have a partner that I don't have to worry about. Like I don't have to look over my shoulder and worry about things, or like if I think something's being done wrong, like I want to be able to change something or speak up about it. I don't want to have to feel like I can't say something, know, and that's why I like the open relationship that I have with them. They're almost, we joke about it all the time, but we'd be sending like freaking Anakin Skywalker and like Darth Vader memes and stuff. It's a warm feeling. Like they're like my dads, but they're not. It's like my big brothers.
Not that much older,
No, not really. But they're like my big brothers, and it's kind of cool. It's really cool actually. Just to now that I'm thinking about it, like damn, these are really the guys that like gave me the inspiration to even pursue this. And like now I work with them.
No, I've met both of them, I think, a number of times. Good dudes. It's funny when you mentioned going to that first or second rave and kind of realizing like, oh, this is something I want to do, because there's always that moment. I think everybody, whether you remember it or not, I know for sure mine was like, I guess I had two moments where I kind of realized it. One was a long time ago. I'm talking like roller skate rink when I'm, in middle school.
Oh wow, that's early.
Yeah, well, because they had these speakers set up, and they would do this like disco roller skating thing where you'd like skate around, and these speakers were sizable. They were probably like 15-inch drivers. They're PA speakers, but it was enough to where you could feel the bass, right? And so I found myself like skating around the circle, and I found myself like stopping in front of the speaker because I was like, I could like feel the music in my chest. You know what I mean?
I love
and
that.
like that pounding of the bass. I was like, wow, that's like there's something there, And it kind of just sat up there and like didn't really, I got into electronics and then eventually car stereos, right? Like then of course like high school I'm like installing like way too many subwoofers in the back of my truck and like all this stuff.
You're like, dude, I've got another 12. We're throwing it in there, baby. I got 16 12s in the back of my car. You want to hear this?
Glass.
Man, I went to a car show one time at Alameda County Fairgrounds. It was called Carnival or something, and this fool pulls up with this old, I think it was like a Blazer.
That's what I had in high school.
Dude, oh really?
Yeah.
Dude, I think those are badass.
Sick.
They're old, they're pretty dope. My stepdad had one too. But this fool had batteries. He had like a bunch of batteries lined up in the back in this crazy system that just like, it was this old like tan model, looked kind of ugly. It was like old lady brown, and and like I was like, what is he about to do? And he like turns it on, and he's got this girl sitting in the inside of the car. So the speakers are out the back, but this fool's got the single cab, where it's just him and this girl sitting in the front. And he turns this shit up like he's only at like 40% or something, or like less than halfway. And he turns it on, and this girl's hair goes and it just starts blowing back, and it's all and everyone's literally vibrating. I'm like, holy, and from like at least 30 yards back, you're vibrating. I'm like, this dude has like 12 batteries lined up to power I don't even know what.
2 alternators, you know what I mean? Like just
dude, it was nuts, but it was a great feeling, because I just love when the bass hits and you're just like, oh my god, couldn't even hear the music. Like, this track he was playing, could not hear a single word, could not tell you what it was.
Right. It's cool. So I tap out somewhere along the lines. I guess maybe as I've gotten older, I'm just kind of like, look, I want like, especially working somewhere like this, like if this wouldn't be a good nightclub if it was just all bass and you couldn't hear the, you know what I mean? So like right now I'm about like loud, clear, even, solid, hard-hitting bass, clear, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, I guess my car stereo stuff has kind of evolved, now, like my most recent one, I just have, like one single, like 10 or 12 in the back, and I want it to take up as little space as possible, but I really do, like, I admire the like craftsmanship of what some of these people put together, like in one vehicle, you've got like, 6 15-inch woofers and like the batteries like behind plexiglass with LEDs and like, they
get intricate, man. They get intricate, and they'll put like the bubble system or something, or there's like a water thing with like tubes that'll come through.
Cool,
I'm
right,
what the? Like, that's dope, but you just spent like $5,000, $6,000 on that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, probably way more than that.
Yeah. I mean, for some of them too, because that might just be for the build. That ain't even for the speakers or the amp or nothing.
Right.
That's that's just for the unit.
It's like $15,000 in stereo stuff. Oh, and the truck was like $4,000.
Yeah. That's kind of cool though if you think about it. It's like an old rice rocket or something. Everyone likes to hate on them, but that shit's gonna gas you out.
Sleeper.
You know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, what are you doing like recently as far as like kind of promotional stuff? I know for me, I mean, especially doing this podcast, I mean, I've thrown parties. I threw a party at Milk Bar for a number of years, and promoting for a party is super difficult. I mean, it almost seems like promoting for a podcast is almost easier in a way, because what I can do for this is I can just put it out there and it kind of just, does its thing, right? Like I'm just hoping that people that, like, there's no like, oh, well, here's the date of this event. Like, I'm waiting for people to walk in, you know what I mean? It's like, there's no, so.
Well, it's nicer in the difference would be like, in your sense, anyone can just be on a phone anywhere. Yeah. Whereas like, I only make money if someone buys a ticket. And I mean, like, they don't got to show up, but like essentially that's the point. People need to show up to a place.
Right.
And nowadays I feel like that's like, it's just like when you throw a party in high school and you're like, I don't know if everyone's going to show up. Like I lucked out. And I mean, I feel like I lucked out. I threw parties in high school and luckily everyone was there.
Right.
I don't think that's because I was like cool or anything. I literally just think I just threw a party and I got a bunch of people to say that they were going to go.
Right.
And, essentially it's the same thing with promotion. Like I have to just do my best to buy the right talent, to book the right talent that people want to see, but also to spread to groups. You really have to get groups to want to go to things. And then, once they pick up, like, people tell people and everything kind of spreads from there. But it's getting that to snowball in the beginning, which is the hard part, which I've tried to, propel different things within our brand that I think have worked on getting that snowball to start right when we announce something. We sell out of our early bird tickets within, an hour, 2 hours mostly. So, and I'm like, cool, that's awesome. I want that to happen every single time.
Yeah.
So that we have, and this is one of the biggest things, you want a lot of people to, and this is for everyone that's like starting to do promotion or whatever, everything's pretty common sense, but you want a large group of people, or just, you want people being advocates of your event early on. So if I just announce, Dr. P and Cookie Monster, which we have coming up on the 30th, like, that sold out of our early birds and like half of the next tier, like, right away. And now I already have whatever that number is already advocating for the event. I don't even know if I said that word right, but basically telling other people about my event.
Right.
And that's just going to spread on top of, the social media presence that we might have, or the ads that we're going to run. Now it comes up, but it's already been spread through via word of mouth, which ultimately is the number one thing. I've seen companies, or not really seen myself, but I've looked at pictures and when I've studied other promotional companies, they could have 500 Facebook likes or Instagram followers, doesn't really matter, but they have a party with 800 to 1,500 people.
Right.
Like, you can do that because if you're throwing a dope party, or you're known for throwing dope parties, you're gonna bring people. Or if you get different groups to, agree that they want to fucking go somewhere, then they're gonna show up, and then you're gonna have a cool party. Doesn't matter what your social media presence is. Doesn't matter, how much money you spent on ads. If you can get word of mouth, which ultimately to me is the best marketing possible, then you're gonna get people to show up.
Right.
And a lot of companies just focus on, they don't, most companies don't have a street team, or clubs don't have like a street team, which is it's not common. And that's fine. No one else got to do it.
Yeah.
But we're not going to not do it. Right. Seems to be working.
Yeah. Right.
So
right.
We have a bunch of people that spread word of mouth. And I think that accounts for a large number of why we get a consistent group of people to come to our event every week. And then those people that consistently come, like, there has to be a certain point where, like, you're not just showing up because your friends are showing up. Like, you definitely like to party if you come back. If I see your email but purchasing a ticket every show, like, you are obviously having a good time. And I'm building that community where people are coming there not just because of their friends, but because they want to go there. And then you're just there with all your friends. And that's ultimately how it was for me when I was going to DNA at Control or Ruby Sky or whatever it may be. Is like, I only had a couple friends that were listening to like dubstep or electronic music, but when I went out to San Francisco, I'm from San Jose originally, or Milpitas, and when I would come out to the city, I didn't really know anyone, but like I made friends, and then I was like, oh cool. Then I started talking to people like, oh, you're gonna go to this event? Like, cool, I'll see you there. And then I'd start like linking up with people, and then we'd all party, and then I just had like, I don't really talk to the majority of those people anymore, but I had friends that I had met and I got to go out and have fun with, and I want to basically create that same place, which I think we're doing successfully over at DNA.
Right. I think that's a great kind of point for anybody who is trying to get into throwing events or whatever. I mean, it can feel very intimidating standing outside of a scene, right, that's already so established and there's so much going on, and you're from Milpitas or whatever, or, like I was living in the East Bay, you know what I mean? And you kind of just it can feel like standing at the bottom of a mountain, right? And you kind of like you really kind of have to initially force yourself just to like start going to these events, and like, fuck, I went to events like solo sometimes, you know what I mean? And just like, just get out there, and and it's really, like you said, it's about like meeting people and just chatting it up, and maybe you never talk to them again, or maybe that person turns into your next business partner who also wants to throw an event, you know what I mean? And like, and that
you never know though. You got to be open to the opportunity.
Exactly. Right. And putting yourself and just showing up, right? I mean, there's people that have gotten full-on jobs at like non-party things, like tech jobs or whatever, that just like you just show up at enough conferences or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like basic like networking stuff. But I really do feel like network is kind of everything. You know what I mean?
It is.
Like when when there's a recession and jobs get hard to find or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
it's about who you know. I mean, this is a common statement that everyone knows, but it's about who you know and not what you know.
Yeah.
Now, you got to have common sense.
Of course.
Because like ultimately, in my mind, I think anyone can pretty much do anything.
Yeah.
All it takes is the drive to want to do it, one, or even if you don't have the drive, if you're being forced to do something, all you got to do is practice it.
Right.
Like if someone's going to go force me to do IT, like I have no clue about IT, but I guarantee I go take an A++ class or something, and I guarantee in 6 months, because I've been practicing it over and over again, now I know what I'm doing.
Right.
So I try and think in my mind, like anyone can pretty much do like
anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
All it is it takes a little bit of time.
Right.
To go through the motions.
Yeah. There's always the people who are like, oh, I'm not good at that. And I've said that myself. Like I've always said I'm not good at math or whatever. But I bet you if someone offered me, $200 an hour to learn to be a data analyst or an accountant, I would fucking learn how to do it. You know what I mean? But to be fair, it is like, you do want to, unless you're just doing it for money, but you do want to like kind of, things work easier if you enjoy what it is that you're learning. You know what I mean?
And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, that's why I get to do what I do right now. Like I get to wake up every day and think about music and think about talent and what's going on with the music industry, which is like, I was working a day job for a long time until, recently. And it's like, I'm so thankful now that I get to pursue this because of the work that I put in, of constantly thinking I'm not making it. I'm like, this is not going to work, and forcing myself to learn and just keep pushing. And now everything's like worked out. Anyone else can do the exact same thing.
Right.
Everyone's road takes a little bit, it's a different turn or there's a different, chance or outcome for everybody, but You just got to pursue your dreams at the end of the day. I mean.
Yeah. Because I mean, you hear a lot of. I listen to a lot of like entrepreneurial like talkers, like Gary Vee. Gary Vee.
Yeah,
he's one of my favorites.
He's one of my favorites too,
Dude,
for sure.
Yeah, he's so good. But like a lot of these people talk about like working like working a lot, right? And I think about it in my own sense. I mean, technically, I wake up and I'm thinking about this shit, right? I'm thinking about music. I'm thinking about working here and like what this place needs and the podcast and all this stuff and I go to sleep thinking about it. And so I mean, technically, because all of it is going towards my career, right? Or what I want to do, I'm technically working like however long I'm awake, right? I mean, I take moments where I watch a movie and that sort of thing, but I really do feel like that's like I try to imagine a world where everybody is doing exactly what they want, what they love, right? Excluding the people that just purely want to be lazy, right? They can go fuck themselves.
Right.
But like, if everybody was like, what kind of world, like, how much synchronicity would there be if everyone just did exactly what they wanted to do?
Well, that would be nirvana. That would be like, I guess so, perfect.
Right?
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Yeah. But I guess too, there are a lot of people that don't have that same kind of leader mentality or entrepreneurial mentality, and they do just want to be I just want to show up and be told what we're doing today, and then that's it.
But we also that's how we make a fine-tuned machine work. Like not everyone's supposed to be the leader. Like I don't recommend. I used to think, oh yeah, everyone should own a business.
Yeah.
Until I freaking own one, and then I was like, now I understand why 99% of businesses fail and why people are miserable.
Right.
Like, don't do this unless you're really into it.
Right.
Don't go try and be a producer unless you're really freaking into it. Don't go and do construction if you ain't good with tools and you hate being on your knees and you're like, don't go try and do that. Go do IT if that's your thing.
Exactly,
or like, I think people need to be put more in a like. There needs to be more emphasis on do what fits your characteristics rather than the cookie cutter. You need to go to school and get a degree and go get a desk job.
Yeah, I feel like that's melting away to a certain degree.
It's freaking awesome, but there's still a lot of people like around. I mean, I'm 23, and like there's a lot of people around my age that are just like, I got to go to school because that's what my parents want, and like they're gonna get out and then they just have this degree and then they're end up working some regular job, and then 5 years goes by and they're not happy, and it's like, I wish you would have just not did that, unless that's really what you want to do. Like I'm not saying don't go to school, like I'm not saying don't go to school just because I didn't. Just it wasn't my path.
But it shouldn't be this thing that everyone should just do because that's just what you do. Especially now with how expensive the schools are, you know what I mean? Like it can be 30 to 60 grand a year at some of these schools. You know what I mean?
And that's sometimes low.
And that's low,
and
right?
You're like 30, like shoot.
Like I went to a trade school, and I think at the end it was like 60 or 70K for what was essentially a 4-year degree packed into 2.5 years or 2 years.
Right.
And for the first time in as long as I've been alive, people are starting like more of the kind of progressive thinking entrepreneurs are like, I don't think you should go to school. You definitely shouldn't go to college just to go to college. Go to college if you know that's what you want to do. Like for me, in what was that, like 2004 or 2003, when I decided I was going to go to like engineering school, that was like trade school, music school, whatever you want to call it. Like it was, like even my parents my mom was super into it. My dad's kind of like, but here we are in 2019, 2020, and he's, got a mortgage banking business, and he's realized that he needs to like produce videos and have a social presence, right? And now we've kind of come full circle where he's making these videos and he's texting me and calling me, being like, hey, how do I do the lighting? And then I'm like, wow. Like,
it's funny that you say that same thing. So my godfather, he's a paintless dent repair. I believe that's what it's called. And I can own this. Yeah, I've definitely helped him with his Instagram and his social media, and possibly with a little bit of Yelp maybe. Sure. But I've helped him kind of build his presence, and I think from what I've heard, it's generated more business or phone calls. And, you know, he's like, you know, he's in his 50s and he's over here asking me this stuff. But I think it's awesome. Yeah. Is because, like, no one in their 50s or 60s is really like, and that owns a business, and, you know, he owns his own business. Yeah. They're not trying to think about social media. They're like, oh, I don't need that. My customers aren't involved with that. Right. Then you're just going to stay behind.
The joke's on them. Everybody's into it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And it's like, maybe not today. You might not feel like there might be a bunch of people on the train of older folks that are, you know, still do business with these people and say, oh, I don't care if you're on Instagram, this and that. But it's not about that moment right there. If you already got that person, you're cool. You're not trying to, like, you're trying to get new people to your business. You're you know, and if you're going to get new and younger people and customers, like, everyone's on social media that's in their 20s and their 30s. A lot of people in their 40s as well. Yeah. So if you want to build a business, social media, just like Gary Vee says, is the place to start. It's free. I mean, you got to have internet and you got to have some sort of device to get on it. So technically it ain't
You could do it all from a phone, really.
I mean, but you might have to buy that phone and you might need to get Wi-Fi somewhere, but I guarantee you it's doable. And most people have a phone. Even, I mean, I see homeless people with a phone and I'm like, how? But you know what? Whatever. Don't ask questions.
You know what? Like, if I was homeless, I think that would be the first thing I kind of aspired to acquire is
communication.
Yeah, because how are you going to get a fucking job or what? You know what I mean? Like,
how are you going to apply for things online? Are you going to you need to, you know, you got to have an address and you might need to register something, you know, somewhere else because you might not have an
How are they going to contact you? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I always want to be. You know, even when I'm 50, 60, 70, like, I want to be on the cutting edge of stuff, right? Of course. Partially because that's just what I'm super into, like technology and you know, new gadgets and instruments and which all this stuff. But you know, that includes platforms and you know, a big reason why I'm like, excuse me, I've gotten on like TikTok and stuff lately, you know.
Oh man.
And like TikTok's a fucking wild place, you know. It's like,
dude. So it's crazy. So that's how I know you also watch Gary Vee. I just made a TikTok for Olympus. I didn't make it for myself. Okay. I'm probably going to eventually make one. Yeah. But I made one for Olympus just because I listened. I mean, I look at Gary Vee as just someone I listen to his podcast and watch videos randomly. And I just was like, why don't I take his advice? It literally cost me nothing. Right. And I don't care what other people think if I'm on TikTok. I just made one for, you know, I haven't made one personally just because I'm not putting the time into that. I'd rather put it into my business. And I posted a video and I got like 100 views in 2 days. And I'm like, what? Like, this is amazing. I was like, oh my God.
I posted something and within like 2 hours there was like 200, 300, 400 views. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, like, because the way that this, you know, I'm not super intricate with it, but the way that the algorithms, or if they don't even use those on there.
I think I know what it is. I mean, any given video, they have to like to know. They don't have people watching every video, right? So their algorithm says, okay, let's throw this out into the wild and see how it does, right? But there's so many people on TikTok. There's like 1.6 billion people on it that 2 hours of testing the waters equals 400 fucking views, right?
Yeah, you're like.
And
okay, sick.
Right. So I mean, you can do something like, you know, Facebook ads, which I do as well, and I've made these like I've cut down these choice segments. It's real. I mean, there's an art to taking already existing content like this. Like, this is a long form podcast, right? So there's no edits. So we're just very free talking, whatever, right?
Right. Which is nice because it's raw.
That's why I like it, right? That's why I think other people like it too. But there's an art in cutting that down into 15 seconds or sometimes even like 6 seconds, you know? And so I you know, cut these down into phone sized, you know, rectangular little ads or blobs or whatever you want to call them. And you know, put those on like Facebook and stuff, and that's interesting because I can like target my demographic and do all this stuff, and kind of get, you know, analytics and stuff. But then I threw those same things on TikTok, and because I mean they're interesting. They don't really go anywhere, but they're interesting, you know.
Right. It's still good to have.
It's still good to have on, you know. And within you know 2 hours, like I'm saying, I got as many views as I did in like a month on Facebook ads. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I do think that Facebook ads, even though it takes a little bit longer or whatever, I think that those are maybe better those are going to convert more to actual viewers and fans, right?
Right. But I guess the whole point of TikTok is not like, for me, I'm not trying to sell tickets on TikTok with the first video that I posted. Right. Ultimately, yes, that is my business goal.
Yeah.
That's how I make money. We sell tickets. But what I've come to learn is the whole brand awareness thing, whereas like I just need to build a presence for my brand on every platform. And for the first video that we posted, it was just, you know, an up and down cutout of a 2-year. It was a clip of the 2-year anniversary recap video that I had, where it showed the crowd, the artist, but it was just all quick and it's only like 20 seconds.
Right.
And I was like, let me just throw that on there. And maybe, you know, I want to do more things like that in the future, where we put more live clips of actual things, like of our actual event live. And then that's a place where people can go back. You know, maybe we'll use that as a caveat to do other stuff and do backstage things, or like go and talk to people in the crowd. It's just random things I've had in my head. My brain's always like, but just to start, it's like I can just repurpose the content that I already have just to put it on there to try and build some sort of brand.
Yeah.
So that way, if people already know about our events and they're on TikTok, then cool, they get to see this little, you know, short recap. Or if no one has any clue what's going on and they wanted to just see some little dubstep snippet of something, or I mean, I have a house show now, so those might end up on there as well.
Right.
Then someone can just be aware that this goes on, and then they might click on my page and there's, you know, Olympus Events, San Francisco, you know, Bay Area, California.
Yeah.
So
I really do feel like, so I don't remember what I was watching, but it talked about the hub and spoke kind of theory of like marketing and stuff. And we were talking about this before the podcast started.
Right.
You know, even putting like the podcast thumbnails that I use for Instagram, just all this stuff, putting those on weird places like Pinterest, right? You wouldn't think that like putting it on Pinterest would have, but you know, you make a blurb, give a short little summary about, you know, what the episode is about, and that links to YouTube. And you know, when you think about a wheel, there's a hub and a spoke, and all these things go out, and those all point back right to, you know. And so if you just have a YouTube channel, like some people do fine, like some people go viral just based on their content. But you know, even if that were to happen at some point, I would still want to be doing all this other stuff, right? Just to get as many people. Why limit
yourself? Exactly. If, just like we were talking about earlier, if someone finds you on Pinterest, like the most odd app that you would think to even see something like that, but they pick up to it and they like it,
right?
You just built a fan base on a certain platform. Like all these apps and these companies are literally just marketing. Well, they're not just marketing platforms, but if you look at them as such, don't discriminate.
Right.
There should be no reason. They just all are used in a different way.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out right now, which is like,
it's a cloud of things, which can be marketing, and it can be enjoyment, and it can be
Twitter's going to have a better response on text, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, you might want to tweet something funny instead of like putting your video. Instagram, you know, is probably going to respond better to your story.
Right.
Facebook is going to be probably better if you're doing online ads, or like whatever.
There's so much that goes into it. I seem to have the least amount of luck with Twitter for whatever reason.
See, it's, you know what? Most people I feel like have the not the best luck with Twitter, and it's not really used as much within our scene. But I think and this is just from experience, I think it's an amazing tool based off the fact that it's like the best free marketing you can get because of retweets. Now, I could not spend a dime on Twitter, but if my shit blows up on retweets within the EDM Twitter, like whatever you want to call it, my event or whatever I posted or video, whatever it may be, has gone viral without me spending a dime.
Right.
Because it goes back to the whole, to me, Twitter is like the social media of word of mouth.
Yeah. Well, and two, there's also, each platform has its own rules, right?
Yep.
So like Titty Milk Girl.
Oh my gosh, Dirty Bird. Dirty Bird Campout lady.
Titty Milk Girl, if you guys aren't familiar, you should definitely look this up. But there was a lady at Dirty Bird Campout that went viral for essentially, I don't know if she had maybe just had a kid or something, but she's dancing around topless and she's, you know, squeezing her.
She was on that malt liquor. She was like, woo!
And they're squirting out breast milk, which is fucking hilarious and awesome. But like that went viral on Twitter, and that could only kind of go viral on Twitter because Twitter allows, you know, nudity. Hey, Mikey.
Exactly.
How you doing, man? You know, but that would not have flown. It wouldn't lasted, you know, 10 seconds on Instagram or Facebook and that sort of thing, you know?
Right, because that on Instagram, you're going to need a bunch of comments.
Right.
And that's, you know, a whole nother algorithm thing.
Well,
so.
And the nudity is just not going to fly,
exactly.
right? So
they won't even. Yeah. And you know what's funny, too, is I actually think I saw... I saw the first video of that on Instagram, but it wasn't taken down yet. Because you know how things will just go up right away and then they get taken down a little after. But yeah, you just got to learn. It's all about if you're running a business or you're trying to run a personal brand from any social media platform, you just got to realize which ones are better at which things. Like I just started using my LinkedIn. Well, I mean, like I've always had my LinkedIn and I have all my business stuff on there, but I was like, well, why am I going to promote events on there? Like that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, stupid. Like there's talent buyers on there. There's agents I want to connect with. There's venues. Like I plan on owning venues, owning nightclubs. I plan on booking acts that are not in my realm right now, but eventually I'm going to want that. And why am I not going to build this reputation and have this brand presence on LinkedIn, where that's all the professionals that are there. That's where I'm at. People might contact me on there, you know. So that's going to be more people.
It's like you would be neglecting the side of that's the business side.
Exactly.
Everything else is kind of the party side.
That's why I thought it was. I was like, how did I not like? This is what I was using for like insurance and real estate. I was trying to reach out to people for such things, and I was like, I never thought about using it for music until recently, when I was like, wait, why am I not doing that? This is where all the professionals live, just like myself. Like there's other promoters on there. Like I plan on expanding, I just say in America could, make the world, but I plan on linking with people in Texas or LA or Chicago or New York and
or fucking Dubai or whatever,
whatever it may be. Yeah. I feel like I'm more likely to cross paths with them on LinkedIn based off of the fact of what I have on, because like my profile is essentially just my work experience. It's just what I've done and what I'm currently doing now. Yeah. It's I went on Dirty Bird camp out and I was all messed up with my friends and it was a great time. Like it's not that. It's like, this is what I do. And when I make a post on there, it's coming at a different, like I'm not just going to post, some emoji. I might say, here's my last sold out event, had such and such, we had over this many people, because what if Jameson's sponsor goes through there and says, oh wow, look at this, this guy that's consistently bringing these things. Why don't I contact him? Hey, we'd like to sponsor you for this. Or maybe a vendor wants to open a booth. Right. It's just building my portfolio with, more professional people. And I think it's just something I wasn't utilizing before, and I'm like, I don't know how I wasn't doing this. Like I thought I freaking had common sense, but
well, you can tell we both listen to Gary Vee because the TikTok thing and LinkedIn, those are his. He was really pushing people to be on both of those, and he's fucking right, And the reason why I like Gary Vee is because anytime I'm like, doing promotion and marketing and stuff, there's a lot of times. I guess I'll speak for myself, like. I'll be sitting there trying to think of something to, put together for whatever. Maybe it's the Facebook ads and how am I going to cut these down? Or I'm reach out to this person and that sort of thing. And, so many times that I might stall or second guess or something. I feel like I have Gary Vee like back here, like fucking do it. Like just do, you know what I mean? Because he's constantly like, you got to reach out to fucking 1,000 people to get one person to say, okay.
Well, exactly what you're saying, I think, is why I listen to him less and less now. Where it got to a point where I was listening to him every day, watching more than one video a day. Yeah. But you get to a point where you're like, but it would happen with other people too. I just like researching things and listening to stuff. When I'm not listening to music, I like listening to podcasts or watching YouTube videos in the background. Like literally I'm in the shower this morning, like listening. I was on a podcast. I don't even I would think it was Ben Baller's freaking one of those random things. But I just like listening to stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
And I have caught myself within the last month listening to him less and less because I noticed he's saying the exact same thing. Over and over and over and over and over
so
and over.
That's where the pitfall is with him.
I was like, oh my God, I get it now. This fool's reiterating the same thing in different forms and feeding it all to us. And I don't care what anyone thinks of, he's only doing it for money. Does not matter. He's feeding us the same thing in different ways because that's the only answer. Right. Like
that's really
the
all
only
that
answer
matters.
is stop being lazy.
Yeah.
Realize what tools are in front of you. Yeah. Figure out how to use those tools. Right. Win.
Right.
That's it.
Because it's fucking free. And it really is the best time to be to be doing anything really.
Exactly.
You know, owning a business.
We have communication globally.
Yeah.
A state, like you can talk to anyone and you can reach anybody with no money. Yes, if you have money, you have got way better chances. Guarantee you your Facebook ads are going to hit a lot more. Now you might end up spending more, but you have the ability to do that. Or you can take the organic route. If you have a business that you just started and you didn't have much money. I mean, I didn't have much money when I started my business, and I'm clearly where I'm at.
Right.
So you have to look at it in the same sense where, like, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Utilize the tools. If you have free tools, why aren't you going to use those?
Yeah.
You know, like there's a task management company called FreedCamp, and I was using that for my team to use, but it was free. And it had basic functions. It just didn't look too well. It didn't operate very well. So I got in the mindset of like, well, why am I going to keep using this free thing when I can pay for something? So I have the ability to upgrade, but I started using that tool that was free because it was like, well, I want to start, you know, managing my team and being a better CEO and try, because I don't feel like I'm the best CEO. Like I just do what I do and shit happens. I fall behind on things. Like I'm not the best leader ever, but
right. Well, I think anybody that says they're a perfect leader that's not someone you want to.
Yeah, no, I'd be like, oh yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But I think it's just utilizing, like that was a free tool where I was like, well, I don't have, you know, buku bucks, although, you know, I can spend a little bit more now on things like that to make my operations run smoother, but I had to start out with a free service.
Right.
Because I just needed something that worked. There's all these free things out there, whereas if you're a business that doesn't have any money or little to nothing, less than $500, you have all these tools to use.
Even just the entry level like things that before you start paying are vastly usable. Yep. You know what I mean? Whether it's Asana or whatever, you know, all these different platforms. You know,
and something might suck. The free service might suck.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it might not. But if it does, you at least are learning the functionalities of something or like the purpose of it, and you know, hey, when I start being more productive or when I start generating more revenue, I can transition into something else. So now I can afford a different thing. You know, but it's all about scalability.
And when you do get to a point where you can start paying for a service, you now know which one you want to go with, right? Like, because you've kind of vetted them, and guess what? If that one doesn't work for you, I can guarantee there's 12 others that do something similar that will probably fit your niche, right?
And you just got to figure out whatever fits your needs. Like we were using FreedCamp, and this is just for task management. It's something that was just on my plate recently, and I had one of my employees was using Trello. And he was like, yeah, this is, you know, talking about this, and, you know, it's all great for these things. And I checked it out and I was like, you know, it looks pretty simple. Like I thought we were going to go with it. And then I have, you know, my marketing director, Vanessa, she's like, hey, well, why don't we try this one? And shoots out another idea. And now we look at this company and she says, look, you can do, and I love her for this. She points out specific features of like, hey, we can do this here and we can't do this here, or like this just moves smoother here. And I go, and I trust her judgment like to the fullest. And I'm like, okay, if that's a new idea, this is better than what we have. Right. Let's switch. Like we don't need to do this. Let's do this other thing. We're at a certain financial point where we can do these things. Let's do it. Right. I want to scale. Yeah. I don't want to be stuck behind. So using, like, for example, if you're starting a business and you're using Facebook and Instagram and you're using the free service, obviously, and you're building organic reach, like, yeah, that's how you start. But once you start making money, it's like, pour that in, put that back into your marketing, put that back into something, you know, like Facebook ads, where now you're not paying for Facebook, but you're paying to promote on Facebook. You're paying for your ads, but you'll see the exponential return once you've built that organic following, and then you can use that organic following to target. Right.
And you should be doing both, right? I mean, ideally, paying and shooting for organic, right?
Of course. People are, I mean, anyone that thinks, oh, yeah, we're all organic and like we're crushing it. Like if you think that's the end goal, you're done. Right. Yes, that's freaking awesome. If you are blowing it out of the water organically, like more power to you. Yeah. But that's more reason for you to go, well, now I have all this organic reach. Let me pay to add on top of that and go. Like it's all. I think about exponential growth, and it can happen on the small level of like just an ad. If I can target, which I think this is probably the hardest part that not merely struggle with, but I'm trying to always learn, which is the targeting for Facebook ads. Like if you have a following though, and you learn how to retarget to those people or utilizing your Facebook pixel or, things of that sort, then your ad spend is going to get, spent better, and you end up paying for sales.
Right.
Ultimately.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, you have to put something into it to get something out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's, if you're going to do things organically, you just got to be putting out the right content. And if you're going to be doing something, more for like, say, I mean, obviously you can do organic sales, but if you're trying to promote something specifically for people to click on a link or go to your landing page, like, then it's good to have that organic following in the beginning to base off of, who you're going to target to sell to.
Right. Talking about LinkedIn specifically, I personally had this thing, and I would be interested to hear like your take on this, but, up until, I guess, really, I mean, recently with the podcast, I had of course all my stuff on LinkedIn, like, my jobs and my experience and kind of what I'm good at and that sort of thing. And it becomes kind of your professional portfolio, online or whatever. But I was always kind of afraid. For a long time, I had my day job, and I would, I'd put on parties, I'd DJ out, I'd play, and for a long time, I had this weird thing where I was afraid that, like, if my corporate job found out that I was doing these other things, that I would somehow be like, ousted and fucking lose my job or be taken less seriously, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure. I mean, at some point I did. I mean, I kind of moved away from the more corporate side of things, and now I'm in, like live sound and that sort of thing, working here. And so, of course, all the chips are now in the kind of live sound engineering. I post my podcast on LinkedIn, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just like we were talking about, you're like, oh, fuck, like, why am I not putting this stuff on LinkedIn? Because, like, my LinkedIn is comprised of other sound engineers and fucking sound designers.
And they probably want to listen.
And they do want to, yeah, exactly.
See? And but you don't think about it until it's like, I never would have thought about it in that way unless I listened to Gary say it over and over and over. And that's why I find myself now not listening to him as much. Because I listen to those things and I'm like, that's all I got to do.
But you're doing what he would want you to do, because what he wants is not for you to just sit there and listen to him talk and say these things over and over and never do anything. You've ingested what he is recommending, what he's spouting, and you've taken it and you're using it, you're utilizing it. And I think that in the end is exactly what that's his goal. He's accomplished what he's trying to do. He just has to reach the mass amount of people. And I really do think that everything that he says is pretty spot on for the most part.
It seems to be like it, and whether you realize it then or you realize it later, what he's saying is it pertains to everybody and can be used by literally anybody.
Right.
And I'm very grateful that I've listened to him and a lot of other people, and I think it's helped put me in the place that I am today. Mm-hmm. I think everybody should, just like at one point I used to think everyone should own a business. Right now, I could be wrong, but I think everyone should listen to some sort of podcast related to their dreams of some kind, because it might help you pursue that. Like, it's a weird thing. I mean, it's not really a weird thing, but it's not a common thing that someone's born wanting to sell shit. Right. But like, I am an entrepreneur, and like, I think I'm good at selling stuff, but ultimately I love music. Yeah. And like, my mom was raving in '95 pregnant with me, going to raves, sitting on the speaker, from what the stories I've heard, standing in front of the speaker, sitting on the speaker, whatever it may be. I've had music running through my body since in the womb.
So you had that pounding bass going through
always.
As
my
a
mom
fetus.
was my mom like break beats, like J Flip. House music, everything. She went to Lincoln High out here in San Francisco, and she used to.
That's super cool. So
she actually used to work at Oasis, which was audio before, right next door.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Audio used to be Oasis.
Yeah,
and now Oasis is across.
I think it was a pool where I don't know if it's the same owners.
Might just be a coincidence.
Yeah. But you know how like audio has the floor that goes in.
Yeah.
I think that was a pool before, according to what I hear.
What?
Yeah. So I don't know. My mom's an OG. Shout out.
I want to look into this. I want to have your mom on the podcast.
Dude, bring her through. She would love it. She's gonna talk your ear off.
Oh, dude, I love. So I've had like BB Hayes on, and I've had.
Wow. She's I'm pretty sure she's friends with BB Hayes.
Probably, dude. Probably. So I mean, BB Hayes and Dean Samaras, like they were telling me about like, and Dean's not quite as old. You know, BB Hayes is I want to say in his 50s, but he was definitely DJing. You know, like around that time, like he was big.
I'm pretty sure BB Hayes learned how to DJ in my mom's house.
Probably.
I'm actually like now recalling a story of her being like, he learned how to DJ in my house. Dude. I was like, what?
Right.
Like, Mom, you're so cool.
But I love hearing about that kind of little legacy stuff, like how 1015's been there for fucking decades, and the end up, and just how they all like evolved. And this used to be like, what was it? It was, hey Mikey, what was this before it was Halcyon? It was Beatbox, and then what else?
Then before that it was called Siberia.
Siberia.
Wow.
And then before that it was called Fat City.
Fat City.
And then before that it was called Transmission Theater.
Transmission Theater. Fucking A. I got my.
Wow, I'm young. Holy.
We got our nightlife encyclopedia right here. Oh, dude.
I don't recognize none of those names.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, I feel like a kid.
Right. Well, and Bergerac and Audio, I think maybe after that was at one point it was like a brew house.
Really, Bergerac was?
Yeah.
Wow.
That the whole building it was top and bottom. So
Yeah.
Audio and Bergerac was one big kind of, you know,
upstairs,
downstairs,
yeah.
like brew house type thing.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, that's technically a bigger space than here, right? I mean, because they have both floors.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess kind of makes sense. Because I'm like, man, if you were brew house in here, I just feel like you wouldn't be able to fit that many people.
No, this would make a terrible two-story, but it's not a two-story building. You know? But I think it was the Transmission Theater because these beams that you see here that have the lights on them used to have hoists that would so there's doors that are blocked off there, big ass doors that you can open up, and I think cars would drive in, they'd hoist out your engine, work on your transmission, pop it back in, and then you're back out.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Yeah, I couldn't even think. I mean, where's the garage door?
Oh, you'll see them when we go outside. They're two big ass doors that open out like this.
Man,
it's a big
I'm just
walk on.
oblivious.
See, I walk around.
I've been over here some gajillion times. I'm right across the street.
Right. See, I'm weird because I walk around and I look at these things and I'm like, what the fuck is that? I'm not really into history unless it's like prevalent to like, or you know, regarding like, you know, nightlife stuff or entertainment or whatever, or I mean, you know, if it's an old like gentleman's club or whatever, like maybe a brothel, that's kind of cool. Like I don't know, you know what I mean?
Brothel.
Like, I don't know.
Just to see, take pictures and like.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know why. I like kind of knowing, you know, what these things were. There was an artist commune that I almost was considered moving into at one point, but it was an old like bread factory.
Okay.
And they turned it into an artist commune, so they kind of, you know, it's not legal, but they essentially, you know, made all these rooms out of this like warehouse and that sort of thing. And the reason why I didn't move into it because they were asking like $1,000 for a room in the middle of this place that didn't have any windows.
Right.
Had
Not
a sketchy ass
place.
door.
They were just like, here, we'll just give you this little cutout.
Just,
right here.
Yeah, made out of like plywood, like you know what I mean? Nothing to code.
Super janky.
Yeah, right. I mean, there were some cool things about it. They had this fucking massive room set up with all these like, you know, pillows and cushions, and they had a big ass cement wall that they had a fucking projection screen that was literally, I'm not joking, like as large as you would see in a movie theater.
Wow.
And that was cool. I was like, fuck, that looks like a good time.
Yeah, I wish we had that at some festivals. That'd be kind of cool.
Right.
Just a giant screen, like playing old movies.
Yeah, totally, yeah. But, you know, at the end of the day, I have too much expensive studio stuff, and I was like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I can't.
Not worth it.
No. It's it's too sketchy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I just really love, like, you know, learning about, and as far as I know, DNA Lounge has been, I mean, you know, I had, BB Hayes was telling me, and I think Dean as well, we're talking about Prince used to throw private parties there and that sort of thing.
He did. I believe he actually performed like as like one of his tours was there. And then, he used to do like other things like smaller stuff. Apparently, he loved the venue. And
he would just show up.
There was pictures in in the back. I don't know what happened to them, but in the back room over there, they used to. When I first started working there, that was one of the first people that I was told like had performed there, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like Prince was here? Like that's random, but that's dope.
Have you listened to the BB Hayes episode?
No, I have not.
Well, now that you're working,
I actually didn't.
You gotta listen to it.
Yeah, I didn't know he was on.
He told the whole story about it, about like
man.
Prince and like there was because he was one of their like first big like regular DJs.
Okay.
And so he was, like there for
and this is back like late 90s, early 2000s?
So. Yeah, I think early 90s.
Early 90s?
Yeah,
okay, yeah. Well, that would make sense. That's
all through the 90s. Yeah. And then Ruby Sky.
Mama was out here.
Yeah, sending it.
Yeah.
With the White Claws.
With the White Claws, yeah.
They didn't have White Claws back then. They were missing out.
I wonder what they have nothing close to hard seltzer.
Right, no.
Could they have any sort of...
Well, it was a vodka tonic or vodka soda.
Oh, yeah, with no like flavor.
No exciting mango flavor. Yeah. Now we're out here with our fucking Juuls and White Claws and iPhones, just living it up, like
living it up on my phone, like
right, yeah. It's a glorious time.
Yeah.
So, where do you see Olympus going? Like, what's the end goal for you? Like, where would you like to see it? Because I like to think big picture.
I think big picture. You can ask anyone that has to work with me or has to hear my big picture ideas because they're pretty outrageous. Like I even had to look at them like wow, I'm way in over my head. Like I don't know what I'm thinking right now, but I'm not gonna not do it.
Well, there's a meme out there that's like if your goals aren't making you nervous, they're not big enough.
I'll contest to that.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But ultimately, I don't think there ever is going to be an end goal for me. There's just some like milestones I think I want to meet, which is like I want to have my own festival. So every year I would like to have my own festival somewhere in California, which is also anyone's gonna like laugh at this right now and be like, you think you're getting a festival in California? Like you're literally crazy.
They probably laughed at Pascal, Insomniac.
I mean, it's the same thing.
Right.
Like he's probably laughing. He could be laughing at me right now, and I would be like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
But that's everybody that's ever thrown a festival.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Even my roommate. I won't name any names, but my roommate throws a festival too, and he's a fucking asshole sometimes, but I look up to him too because he has his own festival, and I'm like, dude, that's part of one of the things I want. I want to own different. So the way I think about it is I want to own nightclubs, but I also want to own venues, and now I separate them. Because I think I want to have like a Regency ballroom, and I want to have a Halcyon. Regency ballroom is 1,600, 1,500 people, and I can do comedy performances there. I could do live. I could do a country act there. Yeah. I could do a hip hop. I could do EDM. Like you could do
open canvas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to have a place like that that's larger. That 2,000 plus people, where I can do shows like that. But I also want a place that I can fit either 250 or 500 people in. That might just be for DJs or smaller shows, because eventually I want to get to a point where I'm testing smaller up and coming acts, and this is kind of how I think I started in the first place with an unpopular opinion but genre rhythm, and I started there, and
hey, people are coming out to it.
But at the time, like I was like, I know these motherfuckers are like, I like this shit.
Yeah.
I know everybody else likes this shit.
Right.
Like, that's who I'm going to book. I want to see them, and I know everyone else does. And I booked them, and it worked.
Right.
And so I want to have, but those were all up and coming guys. Rhythm was a very small and still kind of is a small thing. I want to have a place like this where I can test those people out. And as they build, as they get bigger, as they start to sell more tickets, I can go, boom, now you come back to my market, and I want to put you in a bigger place. Now, San Francisco, I don't see myself owning a venue by myself. I would only want to own... when it comes to dubstep and bass music, I only want to do things with my partner at Vital. Like, I'm the smaller company, and like people might think I'm arrogant for like saying like, oh, I would want them to be like that when they could pummel me. But it's also because I think we have a good working partnership, and ultimately when it comes to like dubstep and things and owning a venue where we might predominantly be booking like EDM and stuff, I'd want to do that with them. But when it comes to like outside places, like I I would like to own something in Vegas. I would like to own a venue in San Diego. I'm not even going to touch LA because I'm not psychotic. I'm crazy, but I still have like part of my brain cells left from 2019.
Yeah.
But like Miami, Chicago, New York, these are all places I want to have like a smaller club. I mean, this isn't even small, but when I say smaller, I mean smaller on the grand scale of things, where like I want to have a venue that fits 2,000 people. That's a whole venue I can do anything at. And I want to have a nightclub that fits, between 400 to 800 people.
Right. And then eventually your festival, which is kind of 20, 30, 40,000.
Well, we're gonna start a little bit smaller than that.
Right,
We're gonna start at like 5,000 to 10,000. At least from the plans that I have and the numbers I've drawn up.
Right.
I mean, 5,000 to 10,000 people is a lot of people, and
that's probably like 5 to 10 is like Northern Nights, right? 30, 40, 50 is lightning in a bottle the size, and then you get up into like 90,000, 100,000. Now you're talking like Burning Man.
Yes. I don't actually know what Northern Nights numbers are, but
I don't either. That was just a guess. Yeah.
My goal would be to more get to Burning Man status. Yeah, like I don't honestly think about my festival being like an EDC level thing. Like I get it. People want to make money with their festivals, and like of course, like I run a business, like I need to make money, but I think it's too big. I think it's too big, and it does well where it needs to be. And they're probably like, I'm never gonna be in real competition with that festival because I'm never gonna have something that big because I ultimately don't enjoy I don't have the most fun at a super large festival. Although EDC was a good time, Coachella was it's a great time. Yeah, I'd rather have the more intimate, slightly smaller, like even 90,000 is a fucking that's a lot of people.
Right. Well, so I think that Burning Man is a bit of an anomaly, and which is why people don't even really call it a festival, because it is more of just a city. It's literally like
it's a man-made city that's built in like 2 weeks. And
Sometimes
2 months.
Months.
But,
but
then they're building all these freaking pyramids. And
once I eventually went, like I realized that the reason why it works at that scale and size is because there's so many micro things going on at any given time. Any time of the day or night, anywhere on the playa, within the Burning Man fences, there's something going on. Whether it's like
24 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, we walked by some camp and there was like it's just a sign that said, this is a room full of balloons, and you walk in and it's just these blue lights. Everything's white with white balloons and these black lights, and it's literally just a room full of balloons, and you could fucking go in like a giant ball pit for adults.
See, I love that. Like I could never. The thing is, Burning Man, like what you're saying right now, sounds like I wish I would have thought of that.
Well, so but that requires. The reason why I say it's an anomaly is because you couldn't have like an EDC at that level wouldn't necessarily work, because the reason why it works at Burning Man is because everybody is emboldened and empowered to make their own little thing, right? So every plot of land that's given out to a camp, you should have a bar, and you should have some exciting thing, like we had a barbecue at Iceberg Cowboys, and you have a sound system and with DJs rotating. So it's like. It's like being in a fucking giant suburban area with like everyone's having a house party, and just
it's a great concept. I mean, ultimately that's like it's like the Renegade vibe on the largest scale that you could think of,
and with main stages,
and artists that like Diplo's there, freaking
Skrillex
else you can name under the freaking sun is there just playing, having a good time in the middle of the desert, and. I can't wait. I'm planning to go this year, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Sounds like a lot.
You gotta do it. No, dude.
If I do it, like I'm not going there to be like one of the people that's like, I'm gonna leave in like 4 days. Like, I'm not leaving in 4 days. Like, I'm gonna get there. No, I'm gonna stay there.
You gotta go. Yeah.
I might die. I might live. Who knows?
You'll leave a better person.
I can only hope. I can only hope.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go this year. I might, but I have 2 friends getting married in France, and it's kind of hard for me to take time off. And they're like a week apart or something. So we'll see. But we definitely gotta go together. You'll have your mind blown. I know I did. Like I've been to tons of festivals and stuff, and I'm sure people that are watching regularly are sick of hearing me talk about, go to Burning Man one time, and you're fucking life's changed. You know what I mean?
I mean, I hear a lot of people are like not trying to go because it's too much. And
that's a thing too.
If I hear someone that's like down to go that's never gone before, like I'm like, yes, let's do this because I already know I'm gonna be miserable and I'm very tolerable. I can put up with a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's not gonna be too bad. I might be like, oh, this sucks. But if I can go with someone else that I have to deal with it with as well, like I just feel so much more comfortable. I'm like, cool, I'm not doing this by myself. Like, no, I'm not the only newbie here.
Exactly. Yeah. I went with some friends that were, Amber and Daryl, and they were all like, of course. They were that was their first year as well. And it was, it can be difficult at times, but for me, really, it's just the hardest thing about it is just the heat. And staying hydrated. Yeah,
I was gonna say the water factor. Katie was telling me, Katie Stone, shout out Katie Stone.
I think I mentioned her on every podcast. She probably has the most number of mentions.
Because she's the bomb.com. Okay, she'll love that.
Yeah, right.
She told me water. It's like you better bring just jugs of water. Don't worry about anything else. And I was like, oh, it's like really, like you're really out there.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a week. There ain't nothing else. So
if you don't go with a camp that has the camp that I went with they had this giant fucking thing.
Space Cowboys.
Iceberg Cowboys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Iceberg Cowboys.
Giant fucking thing of water that got refilled twice, and that was enough for 40, 50 people for the week.
So they refill water out there.
Oh yeah, there are services. There are services that you can pay that will. There's kind of a few amount of services, but they are very necessary, right? Like there's a service that will
porta potty things.
That they'll drive through and they'll empty your porta potty. They'll refill your water, not with the same truck, hopefully.
Man, the whole porta potty thing though, that's something I learned while I was trying to build this whole festival thing. As I was like, oh my gosh, like I literally did not even think about the you need to hire a porta potty company to come clean those things.
Oh yeah,
dude. I don't even know people that throw festivals, man. Y'all are on a whole nother level. I can't wait to be at that status, but like, this is a long journey.
Yeah.
The list of things that you have to do for those festivals.
Well, you need a whole team.
You got it.
That's why it's smart that you would.
I need a team's team.
Yeah, right. You need a team for your team.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's why it's smart that you would try to tackle that with a group like Vital. And there's two sayings that come to mind. It's strength in numbers. That's kind of the most obvious. But the one that I always liked is, you want to go quickly, go alone. You want to go far, go with a team. Mm-hmm. And that one's like, it's so true, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, and a lot of people like in my perspective, I used to think, and not even a lot of people, this is just from my perspective, is I was like, man, why would they, like when they partnered with me, like they're such a larger company than me, like why are they giving me this chance when I just felt like there was a lot of other people, and I don't know, I wasn't always confident in my work, and I was always kind of like...
Everybody has a little bit of the imposter syndrome thing going on.
Yeah, and I was like, well, why are they, partnering with me? And I still to this day have no clue why they took the chance, but they took it, and things have literally never been better.
Right. Well, I could probably tell you. I mean, it's, expansion, right? And also tapping into a younger demographic, right? I mean, so... that's smart of them.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're a real smart dude. I knew that. We hung out. That's when we first met. We hung out randomly, I think after hours, and I think immediately started talking about what we're talking about right now. So I was like,
that's like when I first walked in here and we just started rambling before we even got on camera, and it was just like we were just talking, and I was like, wait, this is like the podcast right now. This is all stuff. Why are we not recording this?
Right.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good though.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's smart, and any group like that would be kind of smart to not expand too fast, but bring on new people with fresh ideas and perspectives, and also different all different experiences and age brackets, right? Because like you said, like they might have not necessarily been tapped in. I'm just throwing shit out here, guessing, but like maybe not tapped into the rhythm market as much, or whatever, scene or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's it's a good solid move.
Yeah. And I think that's why we are where we are, and I think it's a good fit. And I mean, hopefully, I've already told them about my grand festival idea, and they're like, no, you're crazy. And I'm like, I know, but if I think about it now,
I mean, watching like Claude Von Stroke, and his team put together Dirty Bird Camp Out, we literally just watched a festival come from nothing into something, and now it's, you know, not as big as some of the some of the festivals, but bigger than a lot, and massively successful as far as I know.
Yeah, and that's also where they throw their festival is where I contacted. I contacted them first, so that's where I'm currently planning to throw my crazy festival.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know how it's gonna go or when it's gonna happen, but
right.
Yeah, Dirty Bird is probably like the pinnacle right now of what, or no, I'd actually say Northern Nights, but I'd say Dirty Bird is another thing that I look at of how they're doing things, like because they're a label, and when you're throwing the festival as the label, like the acts you're gonna get to put on there, or like the family set that happens, or like the exclusive things that you can do with that being a thing, or like having these events where like you can just, dude, say, like, I mean, I'm a fangirl, dude. Sage Armstrong was standing, like, I fucking love Sage Armstrong. He's standing next to me in line. I'm like, what the, like, this is not gonna happen at the club. Like, this is only gonna happen here at their festival, and it's, I think they have probably the upper hand over anybody, at least in like the tech house or like, you know, booty shaking house realm.
So they tapped into, they have a good amount of the Burning Man thing going on, as far as I can tell. I have not been to Dirty Bird Camp Out, but from what I've heard from many people that I know that go, just like you said, like you're you know, doing these, like, you know, fun camping games, and you're, you know, at a stage, and there's fucking, you know, your favorite producer DJ right next to you. You know what I mean? Yep. And that's the same at Burning Man, on an even grander scale, right? And you know, that's what I really like that. I like that a lot, and I understand why some festivals, right? Like I don't know, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine, like, you know, lightning in a bottle. I think that things are a little bit more segmented. You know what I mean? People kind of drive in, they fly in, and then drive in, and then they get to their camp, and then they kind of, you know, hang out with their friends, and then they go to do their set, and then they come back, and maybe they go to. But it's not quite what it is at Dirty Bird Camp Out or Burning Man. You know?
I mean, I've never been to Live, but from what I see and what I hear, it doesn't seem like it's the same vibe. A
little bit different, yeah. A little bit more of like they have, and I cringe even saying this, but like they have a little bit of like the Coachella thing going on,
for sure,
with a little bit of the Bay Area festival going on.
I would totally agree with that.
Which makes sense because it's literally in between LA and the Bay Area.
Yeah,
you know,
which is, I mean, eventually, I think that's like Fresno area is where I'd like my festival to end up, just because it's a pretty good Central Valley, you know, or Central California, like halfway point,
right?
Because I want to attract a majority. Like, I'm from California, I'm from the Bay Area. Like, I want to bring a lot of Bay Area people, but also bring a lot of LA people without having, you know, Insomniac or Live Nation or Golden Voice try and swing their dong at me, and like, so I figured Fresno's a good spot because there's nothing else really going on there,
right?
So, I mean, shoot.
Well, Fresno's massive, and there's a huge amount of people that listen to electronic music there, as far as I know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's places like Fresno and San Jose, they have a little bit more of the, like, you know, top 40 hip hop crowd, you know?
For sure. That's what they're conditioned to, though.
Yeah, exactly. Been there. Yeah, and I'm not really sure why. It almost seems like the further inland you get, the less...
Well... It's from what I saw growing up. Like, I'm from San Jose originally, and then I went to like high school in Milpitas, and that's kind of where I'm from as well.
Sure.
But in San Jose, like downtown, there has all the bar. Like, there's not really any clubs. I mean, there is now, but like honestly, there wasn't like a club down there. It's not like San Francisco. Like, we have clubs here.
Right.
There's no like clubs in San Jose, although there is now. There wasn't for a long time, and it was all just bars. Like, the main two places to go are SJVG and Trace, and they're playing hip hop, top 40 hip hop, and or like throwbacks.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone was kind of conditioned to. And then you go to like Paper Planes or whatever else may be around that area, that everyone's playing hip hop, because that's just what gets girls out dancing, and you know, it sells bottles. Like, majority of the population listens to hip hop. Our crowd, the EDM scene, the house music, techno, like, it's not a large market. Like, it's not people don't generally own a club that predominantly does electronic or house music. They do hip hop because that's what sells tables.
Right.
That's what sells liquor, and it's a totally different world. In the electronic world. So I think down in San Jose, like they're gonna appeal to what's the greatest chances of me, or like at least as a club owner, or a bar owner, what's the greatest chances of me bringing people in? What's the most common thing people are gonna like when they're going out? And I think that's gonna be hip hop.
Yeah.
So they've always, from what I've seen, they've always just played hip hop there, and that's what everyone's kind of conditioned to, because there is no EDM like club. There is no club that, well, except for now with the partnership that Vital and I have created with Elevate, we're bringing events there twice a month.
Right.
So we're just going to continue that, and the goal is never to go backwards. So we're going to continue that and possibly go forward. We're going to take more dates there, or
I think it'll
might
grow
end up
there.
doing bigger events. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
It's a start of something, and because there is no other, at least in my opinion, there's no other real EDM promoter there. Then I think we can be that promoter down there. We can bring that same San Francisco vibe to people in San Jose that don't want to drive up. Like, I spent 4 days a week, not 5 days, but I spent 3 to 4 days a week driving up to the city from, Milpitas. Right. Over and over, and damn near every week, Wednesday through Saturday / Sunday was like I was driving towards the city, or like East Bay, like Oakland, like right across the bridge or something. That's
the grind.
And luckily I live in South City right now, so I'm right here.
Right.
But
you had to do that for a long time.
Imagine if I did. I was like, man, if I could just go to like a nightclub down here.
Yeah.
That was for at least for Dubstep 18 plus, but regardless if it was. I'm 21 now. I'm over 21 now, so it's like if I can just go to house music down there, which happens on Thursdays at level 44. But if I can bring that myself, as my own company on a Friday night down there, then I'll be happy, and I can bring that, and I hope all the other San Jose people will be happy because they don't have to always, drive to the city. Right.
It's so interesting to me though. I mean, thinking about like how that happens, like very literally, right? Like. You look at like the coasts, right? New York, Florida, San Francisco, LA. And I really do, I feel like, when you're looking at like San Jose or Sacramento or Fresno, it's like these kind of more progressive, free thinking, like wild ideas kind of start on the fringes, in these areas. And they kind of move their way in a little bit. And you almost very literally did that, right? Like you were like driving in here to the city, doing these things, right, with electronic music, going back home and going back and forth, every week.
Literally.
And then now you're living out here and you've established something, and now you're bringing it back. You're like a little electronic music messenger with like a backpack and a donkey.
It was kind of crazy because I just moved to South City on November 1st of 2019.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, I was driving back. Like I would have to drive here, drive home. Like for even as I was throwing shows, I'd be here on a Wednesday night, trying to promote my own events with flyers outside of shows. I'd have my own show on a Thursday or a Friday, and so either Thursday, if I didn't have my own show, I was still going to another show to try and promote.
Right.
Or I'd go to Wormhole on Wednesday in Oakland. I'd be on Saturday at whatever other. I'd actually end up going to a show and just leaving a little bit early and going out and handing out flyers myself, or like having a team with me. I mean, I was doing that for so long, and then for me to have built something here, and then to move here, and then it's like 1 month later, it's like, oh yeah, but you're doing 2 shows a month in San Jose now. I'm like, dude, I just moved out of there because the venue is 15 minutes away from my old house. So I was living with an artist that I managed by the name of Surad, and he lives in Milpitas, and our house there was 15 minutes away from Elevate, which my house is 15 minutes away from DNA now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
isn't that just the way that it goes, though?
Freaking odds.
Yeah.
But it's cool, though. I mean,
hilarious.
It's still nice to have the opportunity to throw events in my hometown, doing the music that I like, which not everyone may like, but I guarantee you, majority of my friends now, and not all of them, but majority of my friends, and at least a lot of people in San Jose want EDM down there, and so I've had random requests for it for the past couple, at least the past year, and I've just seen a scene start to build there a little bit with the other house shows that are going on and the random one-offs that'll happen. So I'm excited to start to bring something that's more consistent.
Yeah.
Down there.
I think it's smart of you though to because dubstep, and I wanted to ask you about this too, but like dubstep really kind of hit like if you look at there's a graph online of all the electronic music genres and their kind of popularity over time. And, all of them are fairly steady. They kind of go up, they go down. House never really faltered. It's been around since like the disco days.
Right.
But like dubstep, of all of them, did one of these massive fucking spikes and then kind of just crashed, right?
Literally. It was straight up like Bitcoin.
Yes.
Freaking, it said,
yeah. See ya.
Like, it was bingo.
Yeah. And we felt it here, in the city. Because I was throwing a dubstep and electro party with my buddy Jason Battle, and that was really kind of during the heyday of it. And we kind of, we stopped once we kind of saw things changing. But it's interesting now that you're throwing a dubstep and a rhythm party, but now it's kind of like a niche, which is interesting because the dubstep fans haven't gone anywhere really. I mean, the people that were into it because it was a fad, they were going to do that anyway, right? But there is always going to be for anything really, there's going to be a core audience that's never really going to falter because that's just what they're really into, not for the fad,
Right.
And so that seems to be what you've kind of your audience is now, is kind of the core people that are really into it, and of course it becomes its own thing again, almost like this kind of resurgence, right? But it takes somebody that's putting on these shows, and I think it's smart. I wanted to make that point too because I think if anyone's trying to start a party, and you're going into a city that already has 12 house parties, house music parties or whatever, it's going to be more difficult, right? Whereas if you choose something that's kind of niche like this, like with my podcast, it's a fairly broad podcast, but it's also very niche in the fact that it's electronic music, it's DJs, it's producers. You know what I mean? I run the risk of there's so many people that large majority of people that don't care about how music is made, or it's not what they're into. It's so far off the beaten path from them.
But there's still a crowd for it.
Yeah, there's still a massive crowd for it. Yeah, I think it's smart. So where do you see there being a resurgence, or are things going to kind of level out and it's just going to be just a genre like everything else is, like drum and bass, or
No, I think it's definitely still on this super it's on the rise right now, and it has been for the past year and a half.
Right.
It's just skyrocketing.
And I'm asking you because you're infinitely more tapped into that genre than
than
I am
see
now.
It. I mean, there's a whole Rampage over in Belgium, I think it is, or Amsterdam or something like that, and Lost Lands and Bass Canyon and all these Ever After and all these bass festivals that are going on. It's literally the shit. Yeah. It's not. I mean, to a lot of house and techno snobs, they're like dubstep, rhythm,
right.
I'm like, I don't care. You don't gotta like it, but there's a lot of people that do.
Yeah.
So and I think it's definitely on still a big rise, and I think it's only going to continue. I mean, it could only last another 5 years, but it could last 10. It could last 20. Who knows?
I personally don't think it's going to go anywhere. You know what I mean? It's just it kind of. Like so many things like Bitcoin or whatever, I mean, they have this kind of huge peak right in the beginning because everyone gets into it, and then it kind of levels out, right?
Yeah, which is common.
Yeah, which is common, right? I think it happens with pretty much anything, you know what I mean? And just I always look at one of the reasons why dubstep kind of had that big peak, and then the fall was kind of Skrillex was at the pinnacle of this height of excitement for dubstep, and he kind of made this sound that everyone kind of started replicating and mimicking, and it took some time for that to kind of fall off and people to realize. And my buddy Jason Battle has always been, we've been listening to dubstep for a long time. He's even more into it than I am, and he was always saying I try to tell people he listens to Purple and all this super heady, dark dubstep stuff. Okay. And he's like, this is dubstep. Skrillex was also dubstep, but it kind of got falsely labeled as what everyone thinks is dubstep.
Well, it's what you would consider more the mainstream.
Right. And it took a while for I feel like for that to kind of wear off, right? I mean, now Skrillex is still, he hasn't gone anywhere, he's still making stuff, but he's kind of making like kind of more, I don't even know what he's making anymore. It's a little more poppy, electronic.
Yeah, it's more like, I think he's doing a lot of like features and maybe producing for like a lot of bigger people. And I think some of the stuff he's putting out, you would consider like maybe electro.
You're right.
A little bit, or like, I'd say more like Zed's Dead kind of style. Yeah. Like a little bit of dead beats.
It's really tough to put my finger on what genre it is he's making, but it's clearly working, right? I mean, he's doing stuff with Diplo, and he's doing stuff with Justin Bieber and all these bigger artists.
Yeah, see, that's where I think his bread and butter is right now. So.
Well, and I'm like, it's such a guilty pleasure of mine too, because I fucking love everything he puts out, like all this, like, even like the Justin
even
Bieber
if you're
tracks,
not like
I'm like
super in love with it, you're just like, I still like that. It's still good.
He's just so good. He's such a good producer that you can't. I mean, it's just so catchy. You know what I mean? It has this fucking aggressive edge to it. I don't know. I might have just labeled myself there for even bringing up Skrillex in a dubstep conversation.
No, that's the thing. You can like whoever the fuck you want to like.
Exactly.
That's the best part.
Right. So what are some of your favorite acts and producers going on right now?
Okay, John Summit. For sure, John Summit. Chris Lorenzo always. I really fuck with Justin Martin. More as a DJ. I don't really like listen to that many. I don't even know if. I actually don't even think I have any Justin Martin's tracks.
These are just general favorite producers.
Yeah. Aatrox, who Katie actually showed me. Aatrox, I really fuck with him. Luigi Madonna.
Oh, yeah.
Who's on Drum Code. Who else? I really like Sullivan King right now, too. And Subtronics. And who's another person? And I'd say Akios, who's a very small rhythm person that like no one's gonna know, but that's
normally I avoid this conversation with people on the podcast because I'll ask them and they just draw a blank and they can't think of anybody. But I know you're like thinking about this stuff all day so much.
Yeah, that's how I'm like, I was like, wait, if I could just have like my perfect lineup at the midway, just 3 stages, like who would it be?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. They're all fucking super good. Katie turned me on to Stefan Bodzen. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Okay, no, I've heard the name, but I think she's
techno.
mentioned it.
He's techno and just blew my mind. Later, Mikey.
What day is Cryo?
Oh, Friday, I think. Yeah. I'll shoot you a text. Thanks.
Can I use the bathroom real quick?
Yeah, you know what? Why don't we just wrap it up? We're at 1:45. That's kind of the little bit past the standard. You know, we've made it.
Right on.
We've made it. Cool. And I have to piss too, but maybe we'll. I definitely want to continue this conversation. A lot of times I like to cut it just a little bit short because I feel like we could just talk forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure me and you will keep talking after this.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Cool. But yeah, I feel like this is a good time to call it, and we can use the bathroom and get some food or whatever.
Right on.
So you got anything you want to plug or anything you want to tell everyone about?
We got. I'm starting my new house and techno series, which is going to be called Planet Disco, or it's called Planet Disco, happening at Valencia Room. It'll be once a month. First date is Kendall, Shadows, and 219 Boys night-based party happening on January 25th. Sick. 21 plus. Also check out Olympus Events on all social media.
Nice.
And follow me at Chris Archey on all social media.
Yeah, and shout out to the Vital crew and everyone.
Max, Santi, Kendall.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Well, this has been the Voice of Electronic Music, episode number 47. I'll probably always have to look at the number because I always forget it. With Chris Archey with Olympus Events. I'm Scott Brio. We are here at Halcyon 11th Street in downtown San Francisco. This is Nightclub Row right here. And if you want to check us out, we're basically on every major streaming platform, so YouTube and Spotify and SoundCloud and all that. Also, I've mentioned this a number of times, but I've started a Patreon, so we can start getting people donating and becoming patrons of the podcast if you like what we're doing here, just to help keep the lights on, keep things going, get bigger and more exciting names on. I should say I always believe that you can learn something from everybody, and I don't ever want it to sound like I'm trying to get bigger, more exciting people on. I just feel, you know what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Disrespect to me.
No. But I do want to start, going down to LA and that sort of thing. It just takes a little bit of money, flights and that sort of thing. So, if you like what we're doing, check it out. Become a patron. I'm still kind of getting things together. I got to figure out what the different tiers are going to be and that sort of thing. But check it out. And I'm Scott Brio, and we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
Bye.